Hi everyone, just a bit of technical difficulties. Just invite Daisy to join.
Hi,
Hiya, you alright?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. We'll just wait for a couple more people to join and then we'll get started.
Okay.
Just a couple of technical difficulties, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we'll get started now. So if you just want to start off telling everyone a bit about yourself and where you come from, just an introduction really.
My name is Daisy Doardo and I'm from Alderney in the Channel Islands. A couple of years ago, I moved to Essex where I enrolled on a law degree at the University of Essex. I completed my foundation year there last year, and now I'm embarking on the actual degree part, which I'm absolutely loving so far. Before going into law, I had a career in insurance.
Yep.
Um, yeah, that's my a bit of professional background.
Yeah, so more so about your career insurance. Can you just tell us a bit like what you did, any specialities of insurance really?
I started working at the High Street local office in Alderney when I was 18, 19. And there was just three of us in the office. It's really small. It's Islands Insurance who are part of NFU Mutual, and I really liked it there. It was a really nice community feel. I started off doing personal lines policies, and then I quickly expanded into commercial vehicle, marine, and horse policies as well. And I was there for about 3.5 years. Decided to leave the island and go travelling. And when I moved to the UK, I ended up back in insurance. I worked for a global brokerage, doing high net worth policies. Absolutely loved it again. Got to work on some really special things there. But the role was put up for redundancy quite quickly after taking me on. It wasn't that secure, and I really wanted somewhere that I could settle and stay. So I moved to a startup commercial brokerage and did commercial insurance there, and then launched their high net worth arm as well before moving into law.
Oh, perfect. I just think we've had a question come through of how are you finding your degree in lockdown, if you just want to quickly answer that one.
Oh, tough. It's really tough. I won't lie to you. It's really hard to concentrate, and the longer that it goes on, the harder I'm finding it. I think at the beginning last March, it was a bit of a novelty. I'm doing lectures in my pajamas, and now it's almost been a year, and I mean, I'm pausing the videos every 5 minutes because I just can't focus.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really tough.
Yeah, and I believe that also perhaps since is it from since leaving your career in insurance you started your own business?
Yeah, I started my own business in lockdown last year, actually. I'd been involved with Essex Startups, which is a startup hub attached to the university. I'd gone to a lot of their events and really, really enjoyed them and really wanted to give it a go. And I'd had some ideas in my mind for a while.
Yeah.
And when lockdown hit, I suddenly, well, sadly, because I lost my job, but I suddenly had all of this free time, and I needed a distraction, and starting my own business was that distraction for me. The business was called Dive Merch, and it was a sustainable scuba diving merchandise online store.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed it. Sadly, it didn't take off, and I ran out of funding quite early on.
Yeah.
So it didn't really have the chance I wanted to give it to pick up momentum. But I've really enjoyed it, and I learned so, so, so much from doing it.
Amazing. Um, Obviously you've told us all about your extracurricular activities alongside your degree in that. How do you have time for all of this really?
Lockdown.
Yeah.
um, Keeping busy has been my coping mechanism through all of this.
Yeah.
Um, I really don't cope well with boredom. I get depressed really quickly.
Mhm.
So keeping busy, keeping my Outlook calendar full, and then sticking to that schedule is really how I've gotten through the last year. And all of these things that I've been involved in are kind of a byproduct of that coping mechanism. And I've been really lucky, and I've had the opportunities to get involved in some really exciting projects. Um, I mean, that's how I've had time. I think last year also, like I mentioned before, I lost my job at the beginning of lockdown.
Yeah.
So that suddenly gave me more time to fill. And I was so watching your savings just go down and down and down as your rent comes out every month is quite depressing. So I needed something to keep me distracted from that while I was searching for a new job. So I just kept busy.
Yeah, perfect. I've seen another question come through. Is it difficult to manage your time between work, uni, and business? Almost leading on from that, then I guess. Do you find that it is difficult but worth it, and to keep busy in that?
It can be difficult to manage my time, yes, especially recently because the pandemic's kind of catching up with me mentally. So I'm finding it harder to concentrate. I'm finding it harder to stay on track, and things are starting to slip.
Yeah.
But when I am in a good headspace, and I'm really productive, I absolutely love being this busy. I thrive on it.
Yeah.
When it's projects I enjoy and I'm learning from and I'm helping people, and I really love it, and that's my happy place. That's where I thrive. If I could give a couple of tips on time management, it would be I keep everything in my Outlook calendar, absolutely everything. So I know exactly what I'm meant to be doing and when, and I schedule it a week in advance. So I know I have time to do what I have to. And I also use a tool called Trello.com, which is so, I don't know if you've heard of Trello.
I remember when I was at secondary school, we used it, not necessarily for like time management, but almost like we used it in a way of organising like charitable events and that. So I guess like in a similar way you organise like prioritise tasks and that, really.
Absolutely. It's great for project management. So you can keep to-do lists on Trello. It's all free in different categories, and you can tick them off and it tracks your progress as you go. It's really, really, really handy.
Yeah, perfect. I'm not sure if I have anything else to ask about that. After we're now going to move on to almost your time as an underwriter. So why did you choose law over other professions? And if any other professions that you thought of, perhaps, because obviously you worked in insurance and that, were you thinking of carrying that on, maybe?
I think if I hadn't have left Alderney, I would have stayed in insurance because I enjoyed it. It's one of the few careers that you can really have over here and train professionally because it's such a small island.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something I wanted to stay in forever. I wasn't passionate about it. It didn't really fulfill me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to career change. I just didn't really know what I was going to do. And I didn't have any A levels because I dropped out of sixth form. So every time I would look through job websites, I needed a degree in this and a degree in that. And I felt really stuck. And I tried to do a couple of distance A levels actually. And it's really hard. And for some reason I chose maths.
Oh God, very hard.
Really hard. So that didn't go very well. And I decided to move into law because I studied insurance law with the Chartered Insurance Institute.
Yeah.
And a big part of that was the law of torts, which I absolutely loved. I love stories, I love storytelling, and I love history. And it just brings all of those things together.
Yeah.
And the major thing that I liked about insurance was that it's this invisible world that touches absolutely everything around us. There's some kind of legal liability attached to it, some kind of risk, and that's even more so with law. So that really drew me to it as well. And when I found myself having legal advice, I just saw how these people were working, and I thought, you know what, I could be really good at that, and that's what I want to do. So I career changed. Yeah,
definitely. And obviously, like the two definitely intertwine, and it seems like your transition from one to the other has almost been, obviously not seamless, but seems like almost insurance is definitely...
They fit well together.
Yeah. What skills have helped you on your law course so far, would you say?
Time management is number one. Any law students watching will know there is a lot of work to do, a lot of writing, a lot of reading. So the sooner you can get your time management skills and self-motivation and things like that, it's one of those things where I think your mental well-being really comes into it.
Yeah.
So my self-care is my absolute priority, because if I'm not functioning properly, I just can't handle the workload.
Yeah.
So it's probably self-care actually is the most important skill for a law student.
Yeah, definitely. So like, in your opinion, do you think that there's a particular type of student that should be better suited to law, and perhaps ones that should maybe stay away from law, or do you think it's almost like a course for everyone that everyone could enjoy and really love, really?
I think it's one of those things. I think there's something in it for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're passionate about it or you're interested in it and you want to study it, don't let anything put you off. Like I said before, I don't have any A levels, and I'm thriving in the law degree. I don't think there's anything necessarily that should hold you back from doing it.
Yeah.
And even if you're not the most motivated person right now, I know I wasn't when I was a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
don't let that put you off either, because it is a long journey to qualify, and these are things that you can learn along the way. So I really don't think it should hold anybody back. There's a place for everybody in law. It's a job of public service at the end of the day. In most of a lot of the legal world is that kind of public service. So everyone should be included in that.
Yeah, definitely. So what should uni students, perhaps, well, all university students, or perhaps just students that are studying law, what should they expect when coming to university, really? What have you learned since your time starting?
It's tough for me to say because I've started at such a strange time. When I did the foundation year, I was on campus October until March, and now it's all been remote. So I really don't know what the future is going to hold. Expect a heavy workload. Expect to love some areas and hate others.
Mm-hmm.
It's a balancing act. It's really hard for me to answer that. I don't know what to expect next year when we're back on campus. It's all new for me as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So almost leading on from that, like you say, are there any modules that you prefer over others, and modules that you really don't like? And
I absolutely loved human rights law.
Yeah.
And I'm really lucky that I got to study it early on, because we did it in the foundation year last year. It's not something I've ever heard of before. In Alderney, we barely have health and safety laws. We do actually have a Human Rights Act, but I'd never heard of it. It's not something that people really, there's no employment law or discrimination law, for example. So it's completely outside my sphere of reference, and I absolutely loved it. So that's been my favourite module. Least favourite, I think I've found reasons to like most of them, but certainly criminal law is incredibly technical, and my brain doesn't really work like that, so it's quite hard to remember everything.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on those ones, because obviously in my A-level course, two of my main modules are human rights and criminal, and I completely
agree on
those. Yeah, both of them. So as somebody who is currently studying law at university, doing the LLB degree, anyone who's wanting to go into the law, do you think that they should go do the traditional university route, or perhaps new routes which are coming out, such as apprenticeships?
I would recommend looking into alternative routes into law. It's not something that was on my radar before I started a law degree. I didn't realise that you could become a solicitor through an apprenticeship. I didn't realise that you could train through Silex, for example. There are different routes in, and a law degree is not going to work for everybody. Not everybody can drop everything and go to university.
Yeah.
I think Google it. There's different options, and people should definitely take advantage of that. At Tiger Law, where I work, Stephanie Smith is starting a series on alternative, well, not just alternative, all routes into law. So keep an eye on the Tiger Law page. That'll be coming out soon.
Almost leading on from that, I guess, since starting your law course, have you had any second doubts about it? Perhaps just the course itself, or actually different ways of going into law?
No, not at all. No regrets. I absolutely love it.
Almost leading on from the question again about what modules you like. Obviously, some legal topics can be very difficult to manage, and obviously the workload in that. And I guess it's all to do with time management skills. But how do you manage to deal with all the workload of reading, summarising, lectures, workshops?
I think, like I said before, Outlook Calendar and Trello, they're the absolute gems for me. They've seen me through it. I don't have anything else to add to that. Just they're your bread and butter of time management.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you supplement your studies with extra reading? Do you have any useful resources that you can share, really?
Extra reading wise, no, I do not have time for any extra reading. At the end of the day, my brain is just melted.
Yeah.
I struggle to watch a documentary on Netflix at the moment. I'm really, really just brain dead by the end of the day. But in the holidays, I've read quite a few legal books. I've loved the Secret Barrister's first book. That was amazing. I've got the second one on my bookshelf for this summer break.
Right over there.
Have you?
Yeah.
Have you read it yet?
I'm partway through, probably like a third of the way through. It's very good so far.
I'm really excited to start, but I'm lured out at the moment. That's going to be my summer book.
The legal profession has often been labelled as who you know, not what you know, in order to progress and qualify and almost get to those top jobs, perhaps in magic circle firms and that. Do you think that this still applies today or not really?
Yes, I do. I do think that when you know people, you may get opportunities that you might not otherwise get. I do think it's a lot easier to get to know the right people though. Taking myself as an example, I grew up in Alderney. It's 3 miles by 1.5, 2,000 people, not a single lawyer that I know. There's no law firm, there's no solicitors, barristers. I didn't know anybody in the legal industry. I worked in insurance. Again, I didn't really know anyone outside of that. I just moved to the UK. So I didn't have any legal contacts. No one in my family is in law, absolutely none. And now I'm in the first year of my degree and I'm already working at a law firm. And that has come through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
LinkedIn really is a way to get to know gatekeepers. And your background is completely irrelevant. If anything, you stand out more for coming from a different place.
Yeah.
Because people see that that's been harder for you and they appreciate that and they want to bring you in. So I would recommend getting on LinkedIn and start messaging these people, start getting to know them early on.
Yeah,
you can create your own network. You don't need to already have one.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So almost, you say you work in a law firm right now. Any other ways other than LinkedIn that maybe you've have aided you into gaining legal work experience? Do you have any work experience outside of your job at the law firm and that? So
I was volunteering last year for a charity called Appeal, and I managed to get that because so through LinkedIn, every time I would come across somebody interesting with an interesting career or something I wanted to explore, I would look on their profile and see how they got there and see if there was anything that I could do, like online courses, etc., that they'd done. And I came across someone called Mark Ward, and he's founder and investigator at the Lost Boys Detective Agency. And I sent him a CV just saying, I found you on LinkedIn, it's really interesting, I'd love to learn more. I can't remember if I asked him for work experience or for a chat on Zoom, but basically he got back to me and said yes. So there you go, that's already creating your own network. And that led to, he knew Emily Bolton from Appeal and recommended me to her, and that got me that volunteer placement. So yeah, it is who you know. Yeah. But just speak to people. Don't just like their updates. If you want to speak to someone, reach out and do it. I get a lot of messages on LinkedIn from people just saying like, hi, how are you? What are you doing? And things like that. And to be honest, I think you kind of have to pitch yourself. People are very busy, like get to the point. If you want something, be very polite, ask how they are, and then be like, do you have 10 minutes for a Zoom call? And you'll be surprised at how many people say yes. Yeah, amazing. Wow. Yeah, so after you complete your degree, are you intending to go either down the solicitor route, barrister route, or perhaps back to insurance, or do you have any plans in stone as of yet? Solicitor route is my plan for the moment. Yeah. Yep, so I'm guessing you'll go on to study, will it be the LPC or the SQE? Because obviously the SQE is more new, up and running. Would you be able to tell both myself as an A-level student and perhaps
the visitors watching, what it's like and how it will perhaps affect like postgrad stage of becoming a solicitor?
I think I'll end up doing the SQE route because it seems to be a lot more flexible. You get to qualify through different 6-month stints of work experience rather than having to get a traditional training contract. And I like flexibility. I like having options. Yeah. It's also supposedly a bit cheaper. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's looking at the moment. Hopefully I won't have to pay for it, but you never know.
Yeah,
it's good to have these things in mind anyway. Someone did post something funny the other day, and I can't remember who it was, but they said that 20 years from now, when trainee solicitors at your firm ask you how you qualified, if you say the LPC, it will just make you out to be so old they won't even know what it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Something to consider as well.
Yeah,
but God, yeah. I think different routes work for different people.
Oh yeah, definitely. Almost like the traditional LLB law degree or an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
There is no right option at the end of the day. So often it's been that lawyers should be more reactive, not innovative, yet the keyword of entrepreneurial skills and entrepreneurship keep coming up. Why do you believe that it's so important for lawyers to become entrepreneurial and develop these skills?
As a lawyer, if you're a solicitor particularly, even if you're not working in commercial law, you're still very likely to be working for a business, for a firm. Even if you go the route of consultancy, you're still working for yourself. So you need to be able to bring in business and know how to run your own affairs. I think entrepreneurial skills are really important because they demonstrate that you're a self-starter. They demonstrate that you're creative, that you're daring. Yeah. You spot opportunities and you're willing to take them where appropriate. I'm passionate about entrepreneurship. I absolutely love learning about it, and I want to know how businesses work. I love seeing the inside of it. I think it's tough for students to gain these skills, though. I do think it's hard because it's not something you can really just read a book and learn. Yeah. I think when you get work experience placements or part-time work, wherever that may be, if it's in a pub or in hospitality or in a shop, speak to your managers, speak to the people that run the business, ask them questions, show some interest, because you can learn so much.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So how would you say that maybe perhaps globalism and like technological advances have created both positive opportunities and maybe challenges for businesses that legal expertise alone like cannot address just by itself, really?
I think that globalism has created a lot of competition, but it's also created a lot of opportunities. And I mean, we have London, which is a huge international trading hub. So we're really lucky in that front, because I know not everyone lives close to London or wants to live in London. I particularly don't want to commute into the city every day. But it does mean that those opportunities are available. So we're really well placed for that.
Yeah, definitely. Similarly on that, commercial awareness and wider reading remains a hot topic for law students. How would you say that you yourself can become commercially aware by reading news updates? And what does commercial awareness really mean to you? Is it a state of mind, and how do you get there, really?
Different people will talk about commercial awareness differently. I see it very much from a B2B background. I've worked with a lot of SMEs and larger businesses and self-employed people and entrepreneurs lately. Yeah. So I don't see commercial awareness as a box ticking exercise of, I read today's headlines and I can recite to you what I read. Yeah. It's a bit deeper than that. And this is what I said before about it's really hard for students to pick up on these skills, and there's a lot of pressure early on to be commercially aware, which is really hard if you don't have that much work experience. So like students aren't magicians. You can't just wake up one day and be partner ready. It's a process. I think, like I said before, if you have part-time jobs, ask people questions. That's a really good way to get some real commercial awareness insights.
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, it's almost a skill that not necessarily you have to practice, but it's not something that can happen overnight. You have to pick it up over time, and like you say,
Exactly.
experience is most important there. Almost a little controversial now. We speak a lot to a lot of law students who tell us that university law societies don't do enough for law students as a whole. Are law societies self-serving for those in leadership roles? Are you a member of your university law society, and if it's helped you or perhaps set you back, or what you think of it really?
My experience with law societies is very limited. I am a member of the Law Society at Essex. I don't think I've been to one event of theirs. I don't really know what they do. I get emails through sometimes, but we just get so many emails from uni, it just gets
Yeah.
lost in my
Yeah.
inbox, to be honest. I think if I wanted to know something, I could reach out to them, but I haven't so far.
Yeah, definitely. Looking into the future, do you think perhaps, obviously we're in a rapid growth of technology all the time, do you think that perhaps artificial intelligence will take over maybe a legal advisor's job? Do you worry that that's something that could actually happen in time?
That's a really good question. That's a really hot topic at the moment. Lots of people are talking about it and speculating because nobody really knows what's going to happen. I don't foresee it taking over the roles of solicitors or barristers and lawyers in general, because it's a really personable role that you're filling. A lot of it is to do with building relationships, trust. I don't think AI is going to get to that point very quickly. I think we're a long way off from having cashier robots. And even then, I just don't see it happening like that. Perhaps repetitive admin tasks and data capture. Again, Tiger Law have a really exciting development coming up on the legal tech front called Tiger Bytes, coming out soon as well. So there's lots of exciting things happening in the legal space at the moment. And for students wanting to know more, just keep reading about it. Just try and stay up to date, because it's definitely going to impact our careers.
Yeah.
Like, it's just around the corner.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely happening in our lifetimes. Yeah, massively. That's all questions I have. Does anyone in the like any viewers have any questions? Perhaps, I know you are studying at Essex, and law's quite, I say it's quite stigmatized around what university you go to and Russell groups and that. Would you say that that has any massive impact on perhaps potential employment opportunities? Do you think that not going to a Russell Group uni makes that much of a difference to you and your like future career in law?
If an employer is going to judge me on where I got my degree, then I don't want to work for them.
Yeah,
is my answer for that one. If you know who you want to work for and you know that they're very selective at where they recruit from, then you can tailor your path to fit those boxes if that's what you want. If you're at a non-Russell Group university or you're outside of that, don't worry about it, because if someone's going to devalue you because of the university you went to, they're not worth your time. I think there's a lot of pressure on law students to fit the boxes, and there are opportunities for people who don't.
Yeah, definitely. At the end of the day, you're still gaining those same skills, and I
Exactly.
do some viewers here that are looking for university, like looking to go into law, perhaps maybe this September, and are worried about that. I know myself, when I was looking at universities, that was something that particularly worried me. But yeah, definitely, there's a much larger scope of law than just the hot, perhaps like Magic Circle firms who do traditionally select from those more Russell Group higher league table universities.
There is, and even for the Magic Circle firms. So there's an organisation called Aspiring Solicitors, and they partner with a lot of city firms to promote social mobility within the law. And they've been really, they've hosted quite a few events at the University of Essex this year. A few of the top firms have had insight days specifically aimed at the University of Essex. So I think the big firms are getting the picture, and they're recruiting from different places, and it is becoming more diverse and inclusive. So don't lose hope if you don't get into the top university. It's not the be all and end all. And if you get into a non-Russell group, if anything, it might be a blessing in disguise because you get more of a chance to stand out. So don't feel like it's going to hold you back if you don't get into your number one choice.
Yeah, amazing. I see we have a question from a viewer. Is Essex Uni good for studying? Would you say that it is?
Is it good for... Is
studying?
Essex Uni good for studying? I've barely been on campus.
Yeah, crazy question.
I don't really know.
Yeah.
There's some beautiful spots in the library if we ever manage to get back there.
Yeah. I know you spoke a bit about commercial law and that. Would you say that's something like more the field that you want to go into, corporate commercial law, or do you have any other ideas in mind?
I haven't decided yet, but I definitely love working with businesses. I love helping people to create things and to deliver their visions and spotting and solving problems. That's what I like. So I think I will end up going down the commercial route, but I haven't quite put my finger on what area that's going to be yet or what niche I'm going to go into. Yeah,
of course, and you obviously have time to decide that and that. I'm not sure I have any other questions unless anyone watching has any questions. Just wait a couple of seconds for them to come in.
No problem.
Oh. Not sure there is any. So thank you for coming today. I think it's been very useful to... Oh, how important is work experience as well as your degree, would you say?
I would say it's very, very, very important. Academics on their own aren't enough. And I know that lots of places would rather take someone with more work experience and lower grades than someone with top grades and no work experience, because when you're going into a trainee role, the more you can hit the ground running, the better. And a lot of soft skills like client service, speaking to people, can you write an email? Just things like that. They're not things that you're taught at university. So yeah, work experience is really important.
Yeah, of course. And would you say that perhaps now in the current climate of everything and that, would you say that virtual internships with law firms have been quite a good thing that students could get into in that?
Last year I did a virtual human rights internship with the Leo Cusson Centre for Law, and it was open access. Absolutely anybody can sign up to it online. I think it's still available. If you go on my LinkedIn, you can see a link to it in my experience section. And that's something that I probably wouldn't have thought to do. I probably wouldn't have applied for if it hadn't have been remote. So I think the fact that there are a lot more firms now doing these remote internships is amazing, because you don't have to go to the city. You don't have to, I mean, the Leo Cusson one was based in Australia, so I definitely wouldn't have done that if it wasn't remote. So there's definitely opportunities there. It's just looking for them. Yeah, definitely. It's scoping them out. Is it true that people with 2 degrees struggle to get jobs? I don't know. I haven't graduated yet. I do have a friend who got a 2 degree. Heartbreakingly, she was devastated by it. And she did get a job, and now she's doing a master's, and she just got 88% in her coursework. Amazing. So I honestly, I think anything's possible, and if you don't get the grade you want, don't let that define you. It's all about how you bounce back from it. Yeah, definitely. It's almost just a minor setback that depends on how you react to it. I don't think, unless another couple of questions are going to come in, I'm not sure if there's any more. Let's check. We haven't missed any. No, I don't think so. So thanks for being here today. I think it's been very beneficial to both myself and definitely going to take away a lot from this. And obviously everyone watching. Thank you so much for having me on. I've really enjoyed this conversation, actually. You've been absolutely great, Alfie, and thank you for everyone joining in and asking questions. It's been a pleasure. I'll come back anytime. Right, thank you. Thanks very much. Bye. Bye.